Hello all, welcome to session 3, Essential Marketing Activities at your centre. My name is Lachlan Rayner, I'm the Communications and Marketing Coordinator at Little Athletics Victoria. This year our annual conference is going to be held a little bit differently due to the current COVID-19 situation going on around the world. However, although we can't see each other in person, we still want to be able to try and provide as much information as possible from the office and some of our suppliers as well. This session is all about marketing activities. Be sure to hang around until the end where you can join the Zoom session for a live question and answer. I will be in there to answer any questions. So if you do have any questions throughout the presentations, just hold on to them. As soon as the presentation is up, click on the Join Zoom Q&A button that is under this video. And you'll be able to jump in there. But without any further ado, let's get into the presentation. And as we normally do, we do run over the association marketing strategies that we are putting in place. A little bit different this year due to the COVID-19 situation and not exactly knowing when our season is going to get underway. It does make it quite difficult to try and plan any big marketing activities, so there is a to be announced on that situation. We will still be doing our social media and then our normal advertising once we're back up and running. So your EDM, so your mail outs to previous members to rejoin back up, social media, live streaming, merchandise. We also have the laps program that will continue on into the year. So we can't update you too much on what is going on. We do have a number of plans around the content strategies, however, how that's going to be released, such as like previous years where we have done cinema advertising or training advertising. We're not sure just at this stage, so we will keep you updated once that is released. So not a big update there from us, but I did just want to touch on it just in case anyone had any questions. So with our marketing, this presentation is going to go over some of the more simpler, everyday, essential marketing activities that we think all centres should do. Those on committees that have been around a little while would have seen a lot of this content before, and you would probably think that a lot of what we're giving you is quite easy. Sometimes you just forget, or there's some ideas that are quite simple that you've done one year and haven't done another season. So that's what this presentation is all about. It's not an advanced marketing presentation, so apologies if you have come in expecting that, but we do just want to make sure that we're covering the absolute basics to ensure that your local community understands what you are doing at your centre, how to sign up, when the season starts, and then when events are going on around the place. So we first off want to try and get our easy wins. So easy wins are basic things that every centre should be able to do straight away, almost at the start of each centre, to make sure that they are the most accessible, or information is as accessible as possible. So the first dot point here, update information now before it is too late. We do receive quite a number of phone calls and emails within the office of people trying to get in touch with centres where a previous president or a previous secretary's number or email address is posted on their website or their Facebook page. What we do recommend is just do a quick Google search for your centre. We can see here we've searched for Killaloe Little Athletic Centre. There's a number of links on all those pages. What we recommend is just go through the pages, click on all of those links and make sure that all the information there is as up to date as possible. We can see on the right hand side, we can see links to websites, we can see opening hours, we can see phone numbers, email addresses. So just make sure all of that information is up to date. What you definitely don't want to be doing is turning away potential members because they simply can't get in touch with you. TeamApp member import. So TeamApp is a great tool. It's a mobile application that most centres do have. So we have about 85% of our centres on TeamApp. Some use the application a little bit more actively than others. However, TeamApp is a great resource for key information such as news, information on your center, key links to social media channels and other URLs such as a newsletter, for example. You can also post your events, and a really popular feature is the push notification. So a push notification is the ability to send a notification to people's phones. So rather than relying on email addresses, which some people have connected to, say, their work email addresses where they don't access them when they're not at the office, TeamApp has the ability to send notifications directly to people's phones. So it's a great little tool. So we definitely recommend getting on that if your center isn't already. You can also get in touch with myself or TeamApp directly and import your members in. So once you've taken a good portion of your membership registrations, you can actually export that from SportsTG with the help of the office. Ask for Kim John. And then you can import that into your TeamApp. So you don't even need to give your members a link and to try and prompt them to sign up. You can import them in, and then they can choose whether they want to sign up to your center's TeamApp app or not. Google Business Listing. So more and more centers are starting to activate their Google Business Listing. So when you see, or when you search for a center, we can see on screen Keilor Little Athletics Center. On the right hand side, and we've highlighted it in red, you can see a profile for the center. Now this is a Google Business Listing. Now Google is a big product and it connects a number of different services that you would be quite familiar with all in one. So say for example Google Maps, where you're searching or where people are searching for directions, Google Search, and also on other attached to other websites amongst many more. However, Keilor Little Athletics Center, they have set up a business listing for their center. So whenever someone searches for Keilor Little Athletics, whether that be in Google Search or Google Maps, they can control what is shown. So we can see there the website, directions, people can leave reviews, you've got the addresses of the center, you can have opening hours, phone numbers, etc. You can have photos and a whole bunch of different information. It also just tidies it up. It lets Google know that you are what you are, that you've got a physical location. Now, one of the problems with signing up to a Google business listing is that upon signing up, to verify that you own the address, they actually send a letter out to your address. Now, have it contact Lachlan, myself, in the office for some workarounds. Most centers wouldn't have a physical address letterbox at their venue, so the mail can sometimes get a little bit lost. We do have a few workarounds to try and get around this, so do definitely contact us in the office should you be interested in getting your center on Google. So what I definitely recommend is, if you are watching this afterwards, maybe pause the video, go to Google quickly or have a look on your phone, search your center and see what comes up, because it'll be quite interesting information. And the last point there for easy wins is event marketing kit. So here on our center, so ourcenter.com.au, we release event marketing kits for each of our events. We also release them for the start of the new season. So if your center doesn't necessarily have a graphic designer or doesn't have the resources to design different posters, flyers, social media posts, we will release an event marketing kit prior to each event. So say region and state relays, combined event championships, cross-country events, track and field, region and state championship events. So we will release marketing kits that centers can use. They've got key information, generic information that you can use. They have wordings for newsletters, for social media posts. So for some of our centers, and some of our small centers in particular, but even some of our larger centers, if you don't have the resources or even just the time at the specific point in which you want to promote an event, these are great tools, and they're all found on ourcenter.com.au. So do have a look for those. So with marketing ideas, coming up through a centre myself, a lot of these ideas that you will see over the next few slides are going to be very generic, very easy, and most of you will probably be like understanding that you can probably do those quite simply, have probably done them in the past, but might not do them every season. So we're just going to run through a number of these ideas, have a quick chat through each of them, and hopefully you can come out with, say, 10 to 15 ideas that you can take back to your centre and prepare for the launch of the new season. So starting with email auto responses with key information, centre player and key information. So that's a great idea, and some of our centres already implement this, and it was actually an idea that we got from a centre themselves. And all this is on your official email address, so say for example southmelbourne@lavic.com.au, you can actually set up auto responses that will auto respond straight back to anyone that emails. So say for example you have a potential or new member, or even a current member that is emailing the centre with a question. The email address will then auto respond with some really key details. So at the start of the year, it might have key details about when registrations are opening, when you've got your come and try days, when you can go down to the centre and collect any items that you might be giving. During a season, it might have key information about what week of duty you're up to. It might have links to your live program. It could also have information on upcoming region and state events. So it's a great tool. We do recommend having a look. South Melbourne District's Little Athletics Centre is one of the centres, and the first centre, I believe, that had an email auto response up and running. Do have a look at what they have done. You may be able to send a test. I don't want to encourage everyone to go and email them, but you might be able to just send a test email to their email address. Just let them know that you are testing. You just want to check out what comes back. And I think that's a really great idea, really easy idea to pass on information to members getting in touch. So we can see centre player sponsors there. So this is with regards to having athletes, sponsors that want to sponsor any athletes. See this more in team sports, in say football, netball, etc. Not as much in little athletics, but however we have seen it before. So another idea is sponsor promotion. So you can go through your local sponsors. So if you have a local sponsor that sponsors your centre around the time of registrations, if you've got any flyers, any information, why not ask them if they can display, say, a poster on their wall, especially if the sponsor does get quite a bit of foot traffic. So we can also have a local show stall. Probably not a lot of these are going on at the moment. However, when we do get out to the other side of our COVID-19 situations and some of these activities can resume, having a stall down at your local show can often be quite inexpensive and can also get your centre out to the local community. So we've also got electronic board on Main Road. Some of our centres, Cranbourne, for example, have a board that sits out on the main road with their centre or their athletics track tucked away a little bit. Not a lot of people might not necessarily know that the athletics track is there or the Little Athletics Centre resides in that sporting precinct. So an electronic board, if you can, is a great way to show off and to let people driving by know that your centre is there. Promotion through your local Subway restaurant. So we will be in communication with centres should there be the ability to promote through your local Subway restaurant. We always do have Little Athletics signs up, and we'll expect to be doing so again for the start of this season. We also have had discussions around Subway about having our local centres actually heading along for a particular day or a few days around the registration time, so they can promote their centre to the Subway customers. Cinema advertising, a great way and a great idea for what we did previously as a state association. There have also been a number of other centres. These can often be a little bit more expensive, but not as expensive as your traditional media. But to get your name out into cinemas, especially when you can pick movies that would target would also target the same crowd, or sorry, the same age group of athletes that you have, would be a great idea and has worked really well. School athletics carnivals, once again, this is all subject to COVID-19 restrictions, but a lot of school carnivals do participate or hold their carnivals down at local little athletic centres. Often thousands of athletes or children do come along and participate at these. Make sure you do have signs up when these athletes come along so they know what's going on. Parents, grandparents are often also in attendance, making sure that they know that Little Athletics is about to start your centre, and here's information on, or here's a place where you can grab information from, is a perfect opportunity. You've already got a target audience that likes athletics down at your centre. Make sure that the information is up to date and easily viewable. So word of mouth. So word of mouth is one of the strongest marketing tools that our centres have. A lot of the survey results that we get back say that new members are often friends of friends, cousins, family members. So word of mouth is still one of the strongest marketing tools that we do have. Things like come and try days, bring your friend days, these all work really well. And we do have a promotion going up for renewing members this season that will be spoken about and promoted a little bit closer to registrations opening. However, do keep an eye out for that. Physical school program, so much the same as the school athletics carnivals. Some centres do have, and generally in smaller community towns, do have the ability to invite someone from the local little athletics centre along to run a program. These are great, and it's something you can do to show off what your centre does. Merchandise, a number of our centres do have quite cool looking merchandise, hoodies, jackets, hats, beanies. Where if you make merchandise that the children do want to wear, you'll often see them walking around the streets, going down to playgrounds, wearing them at sporting events. How often do you see a School Sport Victoria hoodie on the television when the AFL's on for children sitting in the crowd? A great and a really easy marketing technique. Similar to our Subway store, so you can promote through your local Coles store. We have done these previous seasons, and although due to the current situation we haven't necessarily organised these, we would expect that you would be able to run another promotion through your local Coles store. A lot of Coles stores allowed their local Little Athletic Centre to set up a stall of sorts outside, so keep an eye peeled on your emails and correspondence from the office should these promotion activities be able to occur again. Media releases, not one that necessarily centres would do a whole lot unless you have a really good relationship with your local newspaper or local media outlet for some of our country centres. Putting together a media release is relatively simple. We do have templates on our centre, so should you think you're in a situation where your local media may be interested in what you're doing, or you've got an activity or an event that might be taking place. A lot of our centres are coming up to their 50th years. That might be something that the local media is interested in, and if you want to learn or grab a template of a media release, We do have those available on our centre. Contact the office if you can't find those. We also have shopping centre promotions, so very similar to the Coles and the Subway store promotions. Shopping centres do get a high amount of foot traffic and a great way to get your centre out there, especially around the start of the season when a lot of people in the community might not understand when our season does start. So that's a great way to cover a lot of people. Local radio stations. If your community does have a local radio station, similar to the media release, you may be able to get some airtime, whether that be an interview with, say, a president or someone on the committee, or you might have a great story about one of your athletes maybe going off to nationals or an exemplary performance in another field that you want to promote where your local radio station might be interested. That's a great way for promotion for your Little Athletics Centre. We can see our Google business listing, so we spoke about that a little bit earlier. When Google is the most popular website in the world, when people search for Little Athletics Centres or summer sports, we want to make sure that you are giving yourself the best opportunity to promote and get your centre out there. Having a Google business listing helps Google understand that, and in turn will better promote your centre. Next is an Instagram page. Kids 13 years plus on Instagram. It's one of the most popular social media platforms amongst children. A lot of our centres do take quite a few photos. Having an Instagram profile that your children and athletes can engage with is a great tool, especially around returning. Children love seeing themselves on these Instagram pages. They tag their friends, cousins, family members. So if you can or don't already, we do definitely encourage you to grab an Instagram page. So, our community notice board. So this is a platform to share information. It's great for your local area marketing. It covers a high volume of foot traffic. You can make your flyers stand out from the rest. So we do have a number of flyers in that marketing kit that we spoke about a bit earlier. So do contact us if you don't want to design or don't have the ability to design your own marketing material. And they don't have to be physical community notice boards. A number of you would probably be in Facebook groups where your local community is talking. Have a look through those. Check out whether there's any local sporting Facebook groups for your local area, because that might be a great opportunity to post in there to members of your community that might be looking for a sport to participate in coming out of these COVID-19 stages. Other sporting clubs, a number of centres not only share their venue with another sporting code, they would have a number, if not majority of their athletes would actually participate in sports other than athletics. A lot of our winter sports are quite popular. We've got your AFL, rugby, we've got cricket, soccer, etc., netball, tennis. If you do have the ability to promote through that centre, say for example you're sharing your venue with the local football and netball centre, what great way to get a whole bunch of children together in one stage if you work something out with the local sporting club to promote Little Athletics in the summertime in particular, and then potentially and they're off to their other sports in the wintertime. Some may even stay on and do the cross-country program. Kids do enjoy playing sports with their friends. As we said, word of mouth is probably the biggest influence on people joining Little Athletics. So if you can get a number of athletes from the same sporting team, say in winter, and then they come across to Little Athletics in summer, you're probably a high likelihood to get a number of athletes rather than just one. You also might have committee members that sit on the committees of other sports that might be able to do a promotion of Little Athletics on their other sport, and at Little Athletics might be able to promote the start of one of their team sports that take place during the winter. We can have the fly drop, so you're able to specifically target people within your local community. So if you are in a community where you can have the ability to drop flies off at houses, this is a great way to really target your local community in a low-cost way that you can do yourself. And it also gives people a physical product. If they get a physical letter in their letterbox, a lot of the times this can be more responsive than, say, an email that is sent out that they may not necessarily pay too much attention. We do have a number of flyers, A5 flyers that you can use if you don't have your own artwork. In one of our recent surveys, we did ask the question about a sign or a poster stuck on your club room. And it's quite surprising how few centres do have a sign with key information on either their club rooms or their fences facing out towards the public areas. These are great ways to capture the people that are around your building. You might have people that train at your track during the week. If you don't have a sign, and it's very hard for those people to get in touch. They might have children, they might have family that they think would be good and well suited to Little Athletics. Having a sign on your club rooms or on your fence or anywhere around your venue to identify what you are and some full contact information is a really great idea. Next up is a real estate board. These are often low cost, worked out with your local real estate. We also, once again, have artwork should you not be able to design your own. You can place these in high vehicle traffic areas, so they're seen a lot. No doubt you've seen these around your local community. They always pop up at the same time. Say when football's starting or netball's starting or basketball's starting, make sure you organise with your local real estate company to see whether you can get a real estate board up and running. It also tells people where you are and what you do. We have social media advertising. One of the big promotion and marketing tools that we use ourselves is social media advertising. You can go to where your customers are. So it's something like 97% of people with access to the internet is on social media. So it's a great way to target your potential members. And so it is a great tool. Specifically target people based on key characteristics. So with social media advertising, you can break the advertising down to things like age, their gender, whether they have kids. So you can really target your marketing. You can also target your local area by using a radius of your venue. So rather than advertising to the whole of Victoria, for example, when the majority of them are probably not going to be anywhere near close enough to participate at your local centre, you can actually key in your centre address and target, say, a 5 kilometre radius. For those in high density areas where there's a lot of little athletic centres, we do ask you to be aware of not overlapping into other centres as much as possible. Local newspaper article, so those who are able to share articles to their local, say, Star Weekly and Leader community news papers. I know there's these are becoming less and less within the community. However, if you do still have one, they are great tools to get out and great ways to market to your local area. They're always looking for stories. As mentioned above, we do have media releases templates on our centre, so should you need to write an article for these new newspapers, we do have templates there. One thing that's also encouraged is research the journalists that report on your local sport. So if you do receive these newspapers to your house, for example, have a look through the sports section, and you'll often find that it's the same journalists that are reporting on a lot of the sports. They do have contact information, or a quick Google search. You can find information on those journalists, and you should be able to reach out to them. And a lot of the time, they would be more than happy to have a chat to you about potential stories that might suit both of your needs. Previous season members. So we retain around 60% of our members each year. This season is going to be an interesting season due to everything that is going on. So we're not exactly sure what way that number is going to go. However, retaining as many members as possible will go a long way in ensuring that you have continual growth in your membership. We do send emails ourselves, text messages, team app notifications to members from the previous 2 seasons. So around the time of registrations opening, we from the Little Athletics Victoria office, we will be in constant communications with members in our database that are still eligible to participate in Little Athletics. So we will try and get them back as much as possible. However, because we are the state office, sometimes the centres yourselves, you can be a little bit more personal in your responses, in your correspondence. Having a direct email from, say, the president to a member might go a long way. It might take a little bit of time, but if a member has a direct line through to, say, a president or a member of the committee, a secretary as such, that might go a long way in assisting whether that member gets back onto your membership list or not. Have you thought about calling your emails, your members directly, or an old-fashioned letter drop, letting your members know from previous years that you're back up and running? 6, flyers, posters, and signage. We've spoken about this quite a bit, but you can create your own branded material. Think of a consistent message that is applied across all materials, so you don't have to come up with different images, designs, wording on A5 flyers or posters, etc. Put these materials everywhere. Sponsors, community boards, schools, mailboxes, etc. Local school newsletter. A lot of your schools will have probably a digital newsletter now. Some may allow promotion of community sports within those newsletters. So the simple ability to answer to that is have a look at your children's local school newsletters. If they do have promotions, then it's worth probably getting in touch with the school and to see whether or not you can put, say, an advertisement for the Little Athletics Centre in there. You also might have members that are on teaching staff or just on staff at your schools that may be able to assist you with that process. Post regularly to social media. We will speak a little bit about this more or later on in the presentation, but when you do have a social media account, the worst thing you can do is to have a new member or a potential member sign up, go to your social media account and see that you haven't posted in 6 months. Trying to post quite regularly is definitely a way to show that your centre is active online. It's a great tool. Everyone's on it. Something that shouldn't be too difficult, and we will speak about a few content ideas a little bit later on in this presentation. Come and try days. So a great tool, and as I've mentioned a number of times, word of mouth, athletes bringing their friends along is the highest reason why members do join Little Athletics. So having come and try days within your program, or bring a friend days for that matter, are a great way to try and show off what your centre can offer potential members. One thing we would note though, with these come and try days, do understand that maybe it's not the opportunity at a come and try day or a bring a friend day to do really hard events or events that do take quite a long time. If you've got a center program that might go up to 3 hours, on a come and try day, instead of doing 5 events, maybe just do 3 or 4 if you can get them done in, say, an hour and a half or maybe to 2 hours. You want to make sure that you do give these potential members a really good impression on their first opportunity. Key details on digital platforms. So like we spoke about in the easy wins on one of the first slides, do make sure that your details on your digital platforms are there in the first place and are also up to date. Hopefully once you get off, you've seen this presentations and you've finished the question and answer afterwards, you can have a look through your center's digital platforms, whether that be just a Facebook page or an Instagram account or a Twitter account. Go have a look through all the tabs, the About tab, for example. Make sure that information is up to date as much as possible. And the number one marketing tool is a Facebook page. These are free. 99% of 18 to 29-year-olds are on it. We go high, 96% of people from 30 to 39, 86% of people from 40 to 49 years old are on Facebook. It's a highly used platform, a great way to promote your center. There are actually 2 options. So you can have a page. So a Facebook page is a public page where members can go, or future members can go and like the page, and they will get notifications and they will start to see posts that you make. You can also have a group, which a number of our centers do have. A lot of the centers do have a public Facebook page, and then they have a group. Now the groups are a little bit easier to control who's seeing what. If you're not necessarily comfortable, say, posting event photos from weekly competitions on a public-facing group, a public-facing page, you might choose to do these in a group. Definitely contact the Little Athletics Victoria office if you want ideas on what the difference is, how you could potentially use one or the other or both. It's a great way to pass on information to not only potential members, but it's also a great way to pass on information to current members. The one downside with a Facebook page, which is why we recommend other communication tools as well, is the organic reach. So when you post or make a post on your Facebook page, it will only reach about 3% of your members originally. When you see a post on Facebook, if you scroll straight past the post, you don't read it, you don't click on it, you don't like it, or you don't comment on it, that tells Facebook that you haven't liked what you have seen. So for example, if you post a photo with a nice caption and the first person to go past your page that post on their own profile likes it, then Facebook's going to increase the organic reach of that post. It will show it to another member. If that same member, instead of liking it, scrolled straight past it, Facebook then sees that it hasn't, if members that are liking the page actually haven't engaged, haven't liked what they've seen, Facebook's going to start pushing the post further down. A little bit more information, and it's getting a little bit too technical for this presentation, but basically what it means is that not every post you post on Facebook is going to be shown to all of your members. So just be aware of that. If you are posting critical information, there are other tools that can guarantee that you are getting to members, such as emails for them. Next up, and we spoke about it a little bit earlier, are content ideas. So with a lot of these communication channels, you need to try and figure out a way of how to fill the content. You've got a Facebook page or a social media page, you've got a website. All of these platforms do require content to make sure that people do keep coming back, so to make sure that people keep engaging with them. An easy option, and I'm not sure if anyone has done it, is just do a quick Google search. Content ideas for social media posts in particular will bring up a whole lot of posts and images like the one on screen at the moment, with great ideas on what you can do. If you're running out of ideas on what to post on your Facebook or things you can do on your website or things you can do down at a local event. These will give you great ideas on what to fill all that missing space. There's also the opportunity to possibly recycle content that you've used in one way and create another piece of content using the same material. For example, if your center, say like us, runs a podcast, the podcast itself is a great content. You can share it on your website, you can share it on your Facebook pages, your social media accounts. However, a week later, and you've made 1 or 2 posts about that podcast, what you could then do is turn it into a quote. You'll see these quite a bit amongst bigger social media platforms where they will take a direct quote from the podcast itself, turn that into an image, and then re-release that image, which in turn promotes the podcast again. However, it's fresh content that members of your community haven't seen yet. Information that you've put in a newsletter. You might do an interview with one of your athletes. It might be a long form interview that you post on your website. However, at a later stage, you might post snippets of that interview into social media posts, might accompany it with an image of the athlete. You can do frequently asked questions that are on your website probably already. Why not post some of these to your social platforms or send them out in an email? There's a number of ways that you can use content that you've already developed, that you've already created, in multiple different forms, that are a great way to market your center. A content calendar is something you'll often find people do in the workplaces. Why not, instead of trying to think of what to do on a daily basis, set up a regular weekly schedule with a consistent content ideas that can be rolled out. For example, and I've put this together quite quickly, but it might be something that your center adopts. So this is a center that participates or competes on a Saturday. So on Monday, they might publish the results or publish a post about the results from the weekend. On Tuesday, they will share a photo from the weekend. On Wednesday, they might post a duty roster reminder to their members. This might be for the upcoming Saturday competition. On Thursday, they might try and get some center news. Any news about what's going on at the center. There might be something coming up at the center, an event or a raffle. On Friday, you can release the program. On Saturday, it's going to be filled with competition photos. On Sunday, it's a thanks. Thanks for everyone for assisting the day previous, and highlight some of the personal bests of the athletes. This doesn't necessarily have to be exactly what your center does it, but however, most centers will run anywhere between 15 and 20, 23 weeks of competition on a year. There's no reason why you can't just follow a simple weekly content calendar like the one mentioned above. Our Centre resources. For those who are unaware, ourcentre.com.au was developed a number of years ago now to be a platform to assist centres with all the information and hopefully much, much more than what they would need to run a little athletic centre. When joining a little athletic centre, there might be a whole bunch of things that you've had to do that you didn't necessarily immediately think about. Did you know that you would have to think of content ideas for social media platforms when signing up to your local Little Athletics committee, where previously what you have been focused on is measuring a discus or raking a shot put? Our centre is filled with resources, specifically on communications and marketing. We have digital communication resources, such as working with Team App, with emails. We have social media, tutorials, how to sign up to a Facebook page, how to sign up to your Google business listing, ideas on planning an event, media relations, such as media releases, etc. Marketing strategies, learning what you can do to better promote and maybe if you want to go down a more strategic way in how you want to market your center. And association marketing. We do post what we are doing. If there's any association marketing activities where centers can get involved, sometimes we do ask for information. All of that will go in the association marketing section on our center. We have included a link on the presentations which you can see. However, if you are watching live, you can also see a button directly to this section of our center by scrolling down, and there is a button under additional resources on the conference session page. That's all time we've got today. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation on essential marketing and have gotten something out of it. You can feel free to join us now for a live question and answer on Zoom. You'll find the link to that Zoom just below this video. If you click on that now, we will be in there answering any questions that you may have. Once again, thank you for watching this presentation.